All right, everybody, welcome back to part two of a conversation with Ms. Binnie Dansby, the godmother of the source process and really very, very, very nascent observer of what became the conscious connected breath and breathing movement, the rebirthing movement. And she's my personal fairy godmother and co-creative partner. So we talked in the last conversation about how she discovered breath, how it brought her to birth, and how the birthing and creative process in that mirrors and mirrored her own creative process before as a professional singer, a fashion designer, and now a facilitator of healing in breath and brain modalities. So welcome, Binnie Dansby. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
We met a year ago in Mexico.
Yes, we did.
And why don't you tell everyone what happened after that, how we've come to get to know each other, what we're doing with neuroacrobatics and source process, and then maybe we can debut a little bit of some of what we're about to offer.
Well, I think our first meeting was just, hello, where have you been all my life? I mean, what?
I think I called you herbs de Provence.
Yes,
I was like, I don't know, I'm like, you're delicious and you remind me of herbs de Provence. And you were like, I have a jar of that at home in my kitchen. How marvelous. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're up to.
No one has ever called me herbs de Provence, but I love it.
It's my favorite spice. It makes everything amazing. You put a little herbs de Provence on anything. Breakfast cereal, it's better. Donuts, better. Anyway.
Provence is fabulous too. Anyway, let's see, what did we just started talking, and then we kept communicating, and I was fascinated by what you were calling neuroacrobatics, because it felt so familiar with what I've been doing for years, just operating from what I feel very deeply is the creative process in human beings. And whether it's you're looking at biology and conception, pregnancy, and birth, just look at the physical. It's right there in front of our eyes. It's the way everything works. And when we are afraid and we birth our babies into fear, I think we take in fear with the first breath. We come into a room where everybody's afraid that we're not going to breathe, although human beings have been breathing for a millennia, and fear stops the process. Fear stops love. It stops flow. Fear gives birth to separation, judgment, criticism, guilt. All of those things stop the natural creative flow that is being human. And the breath supports fear or love. The breath energy, our life energy, is neutral. It's not positive or negative. It's what we're thinking that's positive or negative.
That's it. The breath rows, the mind steers.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And so we began this voyage of discovery. I was like, oh, snap, it would behoove me to get underneath the coverage and intellectual shelter of someone with an extensive amount of experience doing exactly almost what I'm doing. I added a little fairy dust and glitter and some boas and a couple sequins to the equation.
Mm.
And it's effectively what you've been saying for decades. The way you think, this is my articulation, the way you think while you breathe is the most important thing. That is sacrilege in the current breath world because
Ah,
they're teaching 4-7-8 box breath and triangle breath. If you breathe like this, you will get that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it here. It's a lie. It's a lie because your psychology will undo any breathing pattern you pattern in over time. A guy like me can come in, take one look at you, see where you're weak, and start pulling on the threads. I teach people to do that professionally in an adversarial scenario. And you can undo every breathing pattern. You can do anything you want if the person's not psychologically sound. So I have to put my foot down here and go, those of you in Breathland, teaching breath without the brain combo, sorry, it's an insufficient, incomplete equation. Oops, I said it.
good.
So now the way you think while you breathe and you
And there
create,
are
tell me.
many different intentions, you know. My intention with I've developed over the years, you know, I've been teaching 3-year trainings because I think human consciousness
Yep.
needs consistency, just like a baby. You don't just do a weekend and get it, you know. Anyway, I've been teaching 3-year trainings for more than 30 years. And I've developed what I call source, process, and breath work. And the fundamental intention of source is to heal the decisions that we made about life when we took our first breath. If you were born through fear and pain and struggle, then you have a sympathetic nervous system baseline.
Mm.
And that's based on fight or flight, the adrenaline, cortisol,
All that good stuff.
all that good. Well, and there's better stuff to have as a baseline. If you come in and come from inside to skin outside and get to connect with mother, with father, and quiet and peace, and a mother who's been saying yes and communicating with you, then inside and outside, and then and you don't have the cord cut too quickly, so you don't have to just blast your lungs open, but they come open slowly while you're learning to breathe. Then the hormonal baseline is parasympathetic, and it's serotonin and oxytocin, and you are a human being who can settle and then act. It's not about being passive, because I have 2 sons. One has a sympathetic nervous system baseline. The other has a parasympathetic baseline.
Mm.
And they simply approach life in a very different way.
So what we're doing, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, when faced with challenge, they operate very, very differently. And so I have living proof in my life. Now I have hundreds, even maybe 1,000 people that I have worked with who, because you can shift that, you can shift your baseline. And it takes consistency, it takes attention and intention.
Perfect. And that's the introduction to what we're doing. The creative process has been more beneficial for me than anything. And you know my history, so you know how breath has failed me, when and where breath has failed me, and what I have done to correct parts of me that needed some rebalancing. And the creative process has always been the greatest representation of divine. That new every morning, iterative, reiterative process. And so for those of you who are watching and listening and wondering what this has to do with healing, how do you get from fear and terror to a new baseline? Well, what Binnie and I are doing is actually making art. And we did it quite accidentally because we knew we were going to do something. We got into the studio, and what we've created, I hope and believe, our intention and what we've found is it's art. It's a definitive piece. We're going to listen to it in a second. It has nothing to do with breathing exercises, no cues or anything. But the truth of what we've spoken is at the center of the creative process. So we've taken a grain of what we consider to be principle, dressed it with some frequency, hertz, cycles up and down per second, some meter, which is rhythm, and that's pulsed. So pulsed frequencies over time with intention, powered by breath, has created something that we're asking people to simply sit and soak with, soak into, absorb the truth of what we're saying and allow it to return you to some baseline that you always knew and maybe have never discovered yet. And that's been my journey. If you want to know what we're doing, I'm relearning to re-educate aspects of my system that need re-educating using my own principles. They're not mine. They're ones I picked up off the universal apple tree. So I made some applesauce. Binnie's like, oh, welcome. I got a big vat of that shit over here. You should come check that out. And so Binnie and I are mixing and matching varieties of fruit byproduct we've picked from the tree of life. And I want to debut one that we're doing now. What's this one called, Binnie? It's the very first one. The series is called what? The Blank Soul.
Satisfied soul.
So the satisfied soul is the principle. And when our souls are satisfied, creativity becomes as natural as breath. And breath becomes as well-rounded and full expression of itself as creativity. And so we're going to...
I just want to say...
Oh, please, say all you want.
I've had so many people in therapy over the years who have said to me, I'm not creative. I stand them up and I take them to a full-length mirror. Life, bodies are a creative process. My body is an art project. It is not who I am, and I want to fully embody in order to be able to appreciate fully. So just want to say that.
Thank you. And on that note, we'll do a quick screen share. And here we go. We sat down in a studio and this literally came out in one take.
Spirit, spark of the one fire, all that is, love, soul is love's desire. Desire for the physical. A material manifestation of spirit. Material manifestation. The soul wanted to have a body. The soul longed to take form. to matter. Matter. The soul longed for the experience of all of physical life. All life. Pain. The pleasure. The suffering. And the joy. The duality. And the knowledge of the one truth. Love. All that is love takes form in order to appreciate itself in all forms. Yes.
There you go. So that's basically what you've said for the last two conversations in one very distilled, creative form. I hope, our hope is for you who are watching and listening, that you'll be able to put a series of 5 of those tracks that take you through that process, from the one you just heard through a birth process into what's on the other side, and releasing you to be information, but information, all Binnie's wordplay. And by simply allowing and breathing and listening to truth and allowing it to wash over you and to soak or marinate, if you will, in truth, I have found that the old ways of thinking and breathing and patterns that I could not eliminate or purify using traditional terms or techniques or religious or spiritual pathways has been given to me in the breath and brain and body combo, and understanding how the breath and the brain and the body all communicate. They have a common language, which we could talk about in another conversation. Yeah. And so my hope and prayer, and I know it's yours too, is that everyone listening can hear that truth and soak in what we're about to release and find the replacement for what's ailing you. Not get rid of it. Find something that will simply replace it. Bring in a better felt sense into your body without having to huff and puff and blow off all your CO2, talk to the fractals and baby Jesus, and then try to integrate that wild, crazy experience into something you can use on a Tuesday when you're stuck in traffic. Would you like to say anything as we close? A blessing, a benediction, something about the breath and the way you think and the creative process, source process that you want to give to people? And then please let people know, first of all, where they can find you, how they can buy what you've put out there to be bought or consumed or absorbed. And then leave us with a blessing, Fairy Godmother.
Well, you can find me on www.binnieadansby.com.
I love that you put the www. That's how era prone we are. The World Wide Web, y'all. BinnieADansby.com.
Yes, and communicate with me personally by just info@BinnieDansby.com. I love and I do answer. I love communicating with people all over the world. I'm on the website. There are videos. There's I'm very open source, literally, and there's a shop. If you're really, really interested in basic source process and breath work, download Heart Awakening, which is fundamental to opening the heart to safety and support. It's the truth. They're all here for you.
Mm.
That it's safe to feel all of the sensations in this fabulous, fabulous communications device. We have a choice about what to think.
Mm.
That's what we have a mind for. We don't have a choice always about the sensations, what we call feelings, but we can absolutely use that energy. We do by the way we define our feelings. So I have a choice to say, I am a worthless shit, or I'm the innocent daughter of a gentle, gentle universe. Literally. At the core of being, you are purity and light. That's it. You are communication of love. Connected. We started in connection, inside, informing. So I just, I invite you to remember that you are safe, no matter how your body's feeling. And this is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity, being alive.
And that's it, y'all. Everybody listening, the straight dope from my fairy godmother, Binnie Dansby. Thank you, Binnie.
Thank you, Sage.
You are a blessing. You're a gift. You're a wonderful co-creative partner. We have 4 more of those tracks that we're about to mix and release. You can find us at Insight Timer, the world's largest meditation community and app. It's free. We have 2 of these conversations at 45 minutes roughly each. Breath alone is not enough. We were making those conversations as a part of a live presentation on Insight while we were in the studio recording.
Right.
So you can go check that out there. Insight's about to release some very cool features, and we will be there with some very cool stuff available for sale as a part of my profile. So if you go to Insight Timer, look up Sage Raider, download the app. If you've already got it, find it, pull it there. Binnie and I are going to be releasing the stuff that we're doing on Insight initially, and on her platform and on my platform. So if you've heard anything today that you like, you're interested in how breathing and creativity works together, if you'd like to work with me and Binnie and help us find ways to bring this to more and more people who can apply the creative impulse with their breath and the way they're thinking about it, I've made a system that's actually quite easy. Binnie took the class. That was weird, teaching you anything, but I created a system that actually works, and we want to give it to you. So if you're listening to this, you're interested, you can find me at sageraider.com, neuroacrobatics.com, sage.raider on Instagram and Facebook, and at neuracro on Instagram as well. I have really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you, Binnie. We're going to do more of these. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please come back, and remember, the way you think while you breathe is the most important thing. Talk to you soon. Bye, Binnie.